Welcome to What Dwells Beneath, the podcast that drags the tangled threads of true crime, paranormal, and the unexplained. I'm Perzival, your host and lantern bearer, and with me is my producer Neku and our research assistant Cryptic, who unearthed the bones of these buried truths. Tonight, we're stepping onto the Appalachian Trail, over 2,000 miles of ancient ridges from Georgia's Springer Mountains to Maine's Mount Katahdin. It's a pilgrimage for over 3 million souls a year, chasing vistas, solitude, or maybe just themselves. But the AT doesn't always give back what it takes. Some hikers vanish. Others meet things that don't belong. Shapes in the fog, eyes in the dark, whispers that know your name. This episode, for me, hits hard. I lived at the AT's doorstep in Dahlonega, Georgia, during my days at North Georgia College. I'd hike those trails, my boots sinking into the red clay, feeling the mountains breathe. I'd spend nights at the Irish pub in town, nursing a pint, hearing locals swap tales of hollers, where the air turns sour and footsteps follow you home. I do miss those nights, but the trail's shadow still creeps into my dreams. The AT is no stranger to darkness. Since the 1930s, when the Civilian Conservation Corps carved its path, it's seen at least 11 murders and a dozen vanishings. Hikers are raised, their stories swallowed by the green. The Cherokee, who walked these mountains long before the white blazes, spoke of the Woodawasa, wild men of the woods. They were half human, half demon, guarding sacred hollows. Then there's the Brown Mountain Lights, ghostly orbs floating above North Carolina ridges, luring hikers off trails since the 1800s. Settlers whispered of feral folk, which were clans living beyond the law, snatching strays for reasons best left unasked. But the reality is, history bleeds into horror here. In the 1700s, colonial militias massacred native villages along these paths, leaving cursed ground where screams echo still. By 1974, the trail's body count started ticking. Murders, accidents, or something else. We have 8 true Appalachian Trail mysteries, tales of vanishings, stalkers, and specters that haunt the white blazes. This hits deep. The AT is in my bones from my Dahlonega days, haunted by its shadowed trails. An old hiker even warned me, the trail takes what it wants, no matter who you are. So, grab your headphones, dim the lights, and settle in. Go wild as we do. Before we hit the trail, let's ground ourselves in the AT's haunted roots. These mountains, older than the Rockies, were sacred to the Cherokee and the Catawba. They called them the backbone of the world, home to spirits like Spearfinger, a hag with a stone finger that gutted wanderers, her cackle echoing in the Smoky Mountain fog. Verifiable accounts from the 19th century missionaries describe Cherokee elders warning of forbidden hollows, valleys where compasses spin and fires won't light. One tale, logged in an 1830s journal, tells of a hunter near Blood Mountain, Georgia, who fled after seeing a figure tall as a pine, eyes like coals, melting into the mist. That's my old stomping ground. Dahlonega's ridges gave me chills then, and they do now. And history's no kinder. The 1760s colonial raids along the AT's future path, think Virginia's Shenandoah, left massacred villages and ghost stories. Settlers reported wailing spirits near massacre sites, now trail points. By the 1800s, moonshiners and outlaws hid in these hills, birthing tales of feral clans, families gone wild, living off stolen hikers and bad liquor. Then you have the Brown Mountain Lights, which have been documented since 1913 in North Carolina's Pisgah Forest, which will draw ghost hunters from all over. USGS reports call them atmospheric, but locals swear they're souls of lost tribes, guiding or misleading hikers. In 1937, the AT was completed. A CCC worker vanished near Grayson Highlands. His axe found buried in a tree, but there was no body. Park records confirm it. Locals blamed the Watchers, which we've covered in a previous episode. This isn't a joke. The AT's 14 state reports 6 to 8 unsolved vanishings yearly per NPS data. Some blame exposure, others kidnappers, but a small few whisper of trails that shift, paths looping back on themselves, leading you deeper into the woods. This episode's going to mess with you, like those mountains mess with me. Picture July 22nd, 2013, in Maine's 100-mile wilderness, a stretch of the Appalachian Trail so raw, it feels like the earth's still deciding whether to let you pass or to keep you. Bogs of black water suck at your boots, roots snag like traps, and self-service? It's a cruel myth out there. 100 miles from anything resembling civilization. This is where we meet Geraldine Largay, Jerry to her friends, but on the trail, her name was Inchworm. At 66, this retired Air Force nurse from Harrogate, Tennessee, is no rookie. She's 5'2" with a gray pixie cut and a smile that could warm anyone's heart. Since March, she conquered over 1,000 miles of the AT, starting at Springer Mountain in my old backyard of Georgia. This through hike is her bucket list rebellion, a roar against the quiet of an empty nest and a promise to meet her husband George atop Katahdin in just 200 more miles. Jerry's not reckless, she's methodical, earning her trail name for inching along at a mile an hour. She swaps emails with George, who trails her by a car, meeting at road crossings with supplies and hugs. Her hiking partner, Jane Lee, bailed in late June for a family emergency, leaving Jerry solo. Jane even stated that she warned her, adding Jerry's sense of direction was shaky. She got turned around more than once, and the dark scared her like she was a kid again. George didn't push her to stop. He didn't see the full danger. Not yet, that is. At 6:29 a.m., another hiker, Darter Rust, snaps a photo of Jerry at Poplar Ridge Lean-To. At this time, she was all grit, socks drooping, pack heavy, but her eyes gleam with that "I'm almost there" spark. She crosses Overton Stream's log bridge, skirts an old rail bed, aiming for Spalding Mountain Lean-To, which is 8.4 miles north. Around 11 a.m., she steps off trail for a quick bathroom break, which is a routine move in the pines. But then this is when the fog rolls in, and it is thick as a curtain. By 11:01, she's lost. Her flip phone, barely clinging to a signal, pings George. The text said, "In some trouble. Got off trail to go to the bathroom. Now lost. Can you call the Appalachian Mountain Club to see if a trail maintainer can help?" George texts back at noon. He said walk south to Route 27, cells should work there, or climb high for a signal. He didn't receive a reply until 2:26 p.m., and I said, "Lost, SOS, please send help." Then at 4:18, he received another. Off trail 3 or 4 miles, call police for what to do. Please, XOX. And by 7 p.m., her battery is dead. Unsent drafts linger in her phone's memory. Have to find trail, not strong enough. George waits at Route 27, 22 miles north, sandwiches ready, hoping she shows. By 7:30 p.m., he's pacing. By 10, he's on the phone with the wardens. The search explodes. 70 volunteers, helicopters thumping low, bloodhounds searching the trail. But a biblical rain comes in. 3 inches in hours. Turns trails to torrents, erasing prints, drowning scents. This is when they started to receive false leads, and they pile up. On July 24th, they receive a call from a motel claiming Inchworm was delayed but arrived. This, unfortunately, was the act of a cruel prankster. Psychics begin flooding the wardens with visions. Bears, Bigfoot, nonsense. Hikers report a red jacket in the brush, but it's nothing. George joins the grid search, shouting Jerry's name until his voice cracks. Weeks crawl by, the FBI clears family ties, more searches on the ground, and infrared scans, seeing only trees. But here's the twist. The wilderness is a Navy SERE range. That's survival, evasion, resistance, escape, where contractors play mock hunts miles from the chaos. This brings us to October 14th, 2015. 2 years and 3 months later, a Navy surveyor mapping bomb drops in Reddington Township rolls his ATV up to a pine bow lean-to, a fragile shelter woven like a prayer. Inside, Jerry's green tent collapsed like it gave up. Her remains, mummified in her sleeping bag, clutching rosary beads like a lifeline. Scattered around her was her belongings. This includes a 38-page journal, unopened maps, an unused compass, a first aid kit with dwindling anxiety meds. Her doctor noted she was running low. A squeezed-out toothpaste tube, baby powder for her raw feet, a pencil stub of her final counts. She survived 26 days, boiling puddle water in a tin, foraging berries until hunger blurred reality. Let's read a few pages from her diary. And just a warning, this is going to break your heart. July 22nd, hot today. Walked, thought I saw a town, stepped off for a nature call. July 23rd, fog and rain. Got turned around. George, tried climbing for a signal. July 26th, I'm so sorry I got lost. I think I can make it if I stay put. July 28th, still lost. Carrie, I love you. Tell my daughter mommy's fighting. July 29th, when you find my body, call George and Carrie. August 12th, religious thoughts. God, please help me. August 18th, date debated, maybe August 20th. Starting to think I'll never be found. Relied on my rosary today. After an autopsy, it stated she died of exposure and starvation. Hypothermia is slow theft. She wandered 2 miles west, climbing 3,000 feet through brush so dense rangers called it impenetrable. Yet searchers passed within shouting distance, their choppers buzzing overhead. Her spot beacon? She mailed it back from Hartford Motel thinking unneeded. Maps and compasses packed but untouched. Maybe she had forgotten about them in a fog-fueled panic. But Jane's words haunt. Jerry feared the dark. Her anxiety, a shadow from childhood, worsened by solitude. Was it a spiral, mind unraveling as meds faded, or something else? Locals whisper of the 100-mile curse, a force snaring hikers in invisible traps. The Cherokee spoke of spirit hollows, places where the land itself swallows intent, direction dissolving like mist. The Navy range adds a layer, where SERE drills too close, blurring lines between mock and mortal. Jerry's text, trapped in her dead phone, reached George only after her body was found. A digital ghost crying out too late. Inchworm fought for 26 days, inching towards hope, but the trail held her fast. A warning carved in pine, step off the path, and the wild claims its due. Our next tale begins April 28, 2009, in Springs, just waking up Virginia's George Washington National Forest. The Appalachian Trail cuts through here, a rocky path near Priest Mountain. Meet Kenneth Knight. He's 41, from Ann Arbor, Michigan, a backpacking light editor who's legally blind from a childhood accident. His world a blur beyond arm's length. But Ken's no novice. He's hiked over 518 miles, feeling trailblazes with his fingertips, counting steps like a machine, guided by his black lab Nitro, which is his loyal shadow. This 60-mile trek from Pete's Gap to Peaks of Otter Lodge is a group hike. 7 buddies from an online forum moving together loosely. Ken, craving his own pace, tells them that he'll see them on Saturday and he'll meet them at the Gap. And Nitro is by his side. But a faded blaze near an overlook fools him, and the trail disappears. The forest swallows sound, leaving only thorns and silence. Dusk then hits like a hammer. Ken's cell phone is dead, no signal in the screen nowhere. Nitro paces, he's anxious. Panic kills, Ken whispers, digging into survival mode. He builds a shelter, pine branches and a tarp from his pack, needles piled against the chill. He's got 2 Cliff Bars, a half-full water bottle. He filters creek water through a bandana, listening for bears or hikers. Now, night 1, the cold creeps in, but Nitro's warmth keeps him steady. Shapes seem to flicker in his blurry vision. Are they real, or is his mind playing tricks? Day 2, rain soaks him through, relentless. Nitro growls at rustles in the brush. Something's out there. Or nothing. Hang on, boy, Ken murmurs. We're tougher than this. Thirst begins to dig in. He sips carefully, thinking of his kids back home. Day 3, he hears bears snort close, maybe 20 feet away. Ken bangs on his cup, scaring them off, with his heart racing. This is when dehydration begins to blur reality. He swears he sees ghostly figures in the fog. Or is this just exhaustion? Nitro nudges keep him grounded. His group panics when Ken misses Tuesday's meetup and Wednesday's flight. Word is spreading fast. Trails, angles, post fillers, forums light up, and by Thursday, there is 130 searchers, rangers, horseback teams, K9 units, helicopters. They scour 20 square miles of tangled ravines, then 385. On day 4, Ken is fighting back. Using his editor's smarts, he lights a controlled fire, its smoke rising like a beacon. Big Island Volunteer Fire spots it near Snowdon, 3/4 of a mile off trail. They shout and yell for Ken, and Nitro barks back. The dog gets up and charges towards the voices and guides rescuers to Ken. He's dehydrated, shivering, but alive. 1.5 miles lost in a thicket that would break most hikers. Nitro's my eyes, he tells the medics, but his voice drops. Something was watching us, like the woods were alive. No strange tracks were found and there was no foul play, just a man and his dog beating the odds. Now, was he hallucinating? Or was there really something watching? Because local tales of the trail talk of shadow people, Cherokee spirits testing lost hikers, just like Ken felt. His stories about grit, not vanishing, but how does a pro like him lose the trail so quickly? And we all have this ability. We all feel when we're being watched. Were these eyes he felt belong to the forest? Or was it something darker, wearing its mask? June 14th, 1969, Father's Day glows over Spence Field, a 5,000-foot meadow in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, where the Appalachian Trail splits through the spruce and fir. Dennis Lloyd Martin, a 6-year-old from Knoxville, he's freckled, buzz-cut, all boundless energy, and is here for the Martin's family yearly Smokies trip. With his dad Bill, Grandpa Clyde, brother Doug, who was 9, and 3 Price cousins, including 7-year-old Robert. The boys play in the mountain. The adults picnic 200 yards away by Anthony Creek, soaking in the sun. At 3:30 p.m., a prank takes shape. Hide good, scare the grown-ups, Bill shouts. Doug and the cousins head southwest, but Dennis darts northwest towards the trail edge. Next to it, a field. Bill sees his boys vanish into the bushes, clear in the open meadow. 4 minutes later, the game's done. Bill calls out for Dennis, but the field's empty, like Dennis was never there in the first place. Dusk falls fast. Bill searches alone, and his panic is rising, while Clyde races to Cades Cove Rangers by 8:30 p.m. By midnight, the park launches its biggest search ever. Over 1,100 people at its peak, Green Berets from Fort Bragg, FBI agents, 30 helicopters, over 100 bloodhounds. They sweep 100 square miles from Bogue Mountain's Jeep trails to Anthony Creek's banks, even setting off dynamite to flush hiding spots. But at 4 p.m., it begins to rain. 3 inches. Floods stream, wipes scents, and delays the dogs. Clues are thin. A sock near Dennis's hide spot, and cigarette butts hinting at moonshiners. On July 20th, a family reports hearing a boy scream and seeing camo-clad figures 5 miles away, but the FBI calls it impossible, stating a child could not hike that far. An August tip about a boy like Dennis was adopted out west. Believing it could have possibly been Dennis, they DNA tested him. Unfortunately, it fails. This is when theories pile up. Feral hogs? there's no blood. Bears, no drag marks. But locals whisper of the Feds. It's an outcast clan in the Hollows, and they're known for snatching kids. But it also matches the missing 411 patterns, the kids vanishing near water, like the stream 100 feet from Dennis's spot. The park superintendent later said dogs should have found him post-rain because of fresh scent. But the open meadow mocks them and nothing is found. How does a boy vanish in plain sight? By September 14th, the search ends. A $5,000 reward is posted, but unclaimed. The largest NPS manhunt ever came out empty-handed. A plaque at Spence Field reads, "In memory of Dennis Lloyd Martin." He would be 62 now, a ghost of what-ifs. Cherokee tales of moss portals, places where the innocent slip into the spirit realm. This gives me chills. Did Dennis hide too well, or did something take him that doesn't give back? Now May 2019, the Blue Ridge in Southern Virginia glows under dusk's last light. The Appalachian Trail climbs towards McAfee Knob, a cliff of postcard views hiding darker corners. Blaze and Echo, a 20-something couple from Asheville, names changed to shield them, are through hiking northbound, their bond forged in 20-mile days. Exhausted, they pitch camp at a low site below the knob, zipping into their tent, the world shrinking to nylon and breath. Midnight strikes. A rustle brushes the tent wall. "Raccoon," Blaze says. He's half asleep. But it circles. It snaps at around 10 feet, then again at 5, and then finally inches away. Pebbles pelt the fabric like angry spit. Echo sits up. Her heart is pounding. Blaze unzips the flap. Flashlight is slicing through the dark. Nothing but the thickets. Echo asks if he sees a bear, but a growl answers. Not a bear's deep rumble, though, but a throaty, almost human rasp. That's when they see the shadows move. They notice 3 tall, hunched shapes with a deliberate pace, but no eyes glinting in the beam. Blaze yells, and they fire a flare at them. It's a red glow scattering the figures, and that's when the silence falls, heavy as fog. Dawn reveals their gear is untouched, but bare footprints ring the campsite. They're human-like, deep-toed, no-shoe tread sunk deep in the dirt. In the brush, a child's muddy sneaker, size 10, the sole is worn thin. It's not theirs. It's eerie like Dennis Martin's sock. They bolt to Johns Creek shelter, telling ridge runners. Feral folk once says, local legends of outcast clans, moonshine craze preying on hikers since the 1800s. Or was this something else? Bigfoot researchers note wood boomers near the knob, per 2010's BFRO reports. The missing 411 log similar cases. Hikers stalked, some vanishing barefoot. Blaze and Echo pushed to the Damascus but quit the through hike. They said they felt hunted. Blaze wrote this in a 2010 forum post, like we stepped into something ancient and angry. Rangers cast the prints. There's no match to boots or known fakes. This isn't a one-off. The same year James Jordan, the alias used on the trail as Sovereign, terrorized Wythe County nearby. A machete-wielding drifter who killed one hiker and injured another after weeks of threats per federal records. Women face worse. Daily Beast reports rising harassment on the AT. This includes stalkers trailing solos and tent attacks. These are rare, but real, with an actual murder risk. So the question is, were they stalked by outcasts? Or maybe something wild? Now it's 2008 in Neels Gap, Georgia, where the Appalachian Trail climbs Blood Mountain. This is a ridge heavy with Cherokee lore. A section hiker from Atlanta, trail named Trekker, hikes near Walla Yasi Yi Hostel, a 1930s stone outpost pulsing with trail history. Midday, this boot catches something in the loomy soil. It's a rusted locket with a broken chain. He opens it. A faded photo of a woman in 1970 clothes, inscribed SC Forever, 1975. A chill hits. He posted on the AT forum asking anyone know who this is, and that's when the replies begin to flood in. It's linked to Susan Clements, a 28-year-old Atlanta teacher who vanished in May 1975 after signing the Neels Gap Register. Her pack was found 2 miles east, the compass off, but no locket was locked. Searchers, the NPS crew and bloodhounds, swept the area clean, rain washing her trail away overnight. Now, Susan was no rookie. She was used to the local trails, but hiking solo southbound towards Springer. Last seen on May 12th, she chatted at the hostel store, buying a Snickers, eyes bright with the trail's promise. By evening, she was gone, her tent empty at a nearby site. Theories swirled. Some believe she experienced hypothermia from a sudden 30-degree drop. Others, it was disorientation on Blood's tricky forks. But many believe of the mountain's curse. Cherokee tales of the Nunani, invisible spirits warning on its peak, tied to 1838 Trail of Tears massacre nearby. The locket's condition spooks people. Barely tarnished, the chain is still fixable like it hadn't sat in 33 years of dirt. Trekker even emailed stating it felt like it was waiting. He handed it over to the NPS and it eventually reached Susan's family, becoming a relic from nowhere. In 1995, in the Harriman State Park, the Appalachian Trail threads through, where Fingerboard Shelter sits on a spruce-covered ridge, a half-mile off the main trail. Starlight, a Vermont thru-hiker in her 30s, sails into the lean-to after dark. Its adobe walls scratched with decades of names. She lights a fire, the flames pushing back into the night's chill. After midnight, the air shifts. A figure appears by the fire, gaunt, dressed in faded 1950s gear. The face is hollow like it hasn't eaten in years. "Rough night?" Starlight asks, offering her jerky. And that's when things got strange. The figure rasps, "Storm took me." And mid-sentence, he vanishes, the fire flaring blue. Starlight's heart begins to race, and at dawn, she checks the shelter log. A 1923 entry scrawled in panic reads, "Lost in blow, help." It matches Elias Ford, a CCC worker who disappeared carving Harriman's first AT mile. His axe was left behind per 1924 records. Starlight's 1996 forum post says, "Whispered followed me from Bear Mountain saying, 'Stay the path.'" The response to the forum stated that the Harrimans lean to hold on to their dead, and Elias seems to be one of them. There are a lot more stories of the AT. As the embers of our fire dim, there is something to take from all this. This ancient path, carved through 2,000 miles of untamed peaks and hollows, isn't just a path. It's a living story, etched with footsteps of wanderers, dreamers, and those who vanish into the shadowed folds. From the Cherokee who walk these ridges under sacred stars to the thru-hikers chasing whispers of strange lights or footsteps that echo too close, the AT holds its secrets tight, daring you to listen. Each blaze marks more than a path. It's a boundary between what we know and what watches from beneath. Thank you for trekking these trails with what dwells beneath. Got a tale from AT's shadows, a fleeting shape in the mist, or a sound that wasn't the wind? Maybe something true crime or paranormal you would like to share. Visit our website at taverndwellers.com and find the listener submission page. Other options are emailing us directly at whatdwellspod@gmail.com or join the Tavern Dwellers Discord and find the forum there. If you join the Discord, we also have other areas open for discussion about episodes and future episodes. Want to support the show? Patreon's got your back with exclusive haunts, bonus episodes, lore drops to fuel the night, and have your name shouted out in an episode. And lastly, be sure to follow and drop 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to help the podcast grow. Next episode, we're bound for something more monstrous. And remember, if you find yourself on a trail, tread lightly, because you never know what dwells beneath.